There's a cardio intensity that most people gravitate toward naturally. Not easy enough to feel like real exercise, not hard enough to feel like you're really pushing. It's that medium pace, 40 to 60% of maximum effort where you're working but could probably hold it for a while if you had to. Most people do their cardio right in that range. And it's also the least effective intensity for almost every adaptation you actually want. This is what exercise scientists call the no man's land. It's too hard to build your aerobic base and not hard enough to produce the high intensity adaptation from real interval work. You're accumulating fatigue without a clear return. If you've been doing 30-minute runs at a medium pace for months and your recovery between training sessions hasn't improved, your resting heart rate hasn't dropped, your endurance hasn't grown the way you expected, this is probably why. The oxidative system, your aerobic engine, adapts to two very specific stimuli, and moderate intensity cardio in the middle triggers neither of them well. The first stimulus is genuine low-intensity, sustained effort. This is what researchers call zone 2. It's the pace where you can hold a full conversation without gasping. You can speak in complete sentences. You feel like you're barely working. Most people think this is too easy to count as exercise. It's not. At this intensity, roughly 60 to 70% of maximum heart rate, you're training the mitochondria in your slow twitch muscle fibers to process fat more efficiently. You're building capillary density. You're developing the infrastructure of aerobic fitness. The adaptation is slow. You won't feel dramatically different after one session. But after 4 to 6 consistent weeks of zone 2 work, 2 to 3 times per week for 20 to 45 minutes each session, your aerobic base fundamentally changes. Recovery between hard sets gets faster. Recovery between sessions improves. And here's the connection most people miss. The oxidative system is the primary recharge mechanism for your phosphagen battery. A stronger aerobic base means your heavy lifts and your power output recover faster too. Zone 2 cardio makes your strength training better. The talk test is the simplest way to know you're in zone 2. Can you speak a full sentence without pausing to breathe? If yes, you're there. If you have to take a breath mid-sentence, you've drifted too high. If you feel like you could shout comfortably, you might be too low. The pace should feel almost embarrassingly easy. That's correct. The second stimulus is genuine high-intensity interval work. Short bursts at true maximum or near maximum effort, followed by full recovery. 20 to 30 seconds hard enough that you couldn't sustain it much longer, followed by 2 to 3 full minutes of easy recovery. Repeat that 4 to 8 times. That stimulus drives a completely different set of adaptations. Improved VO2 max, improved cardiac output, better lactate clearance, improved capacity to sustain near maximal efforts. The math on moderate cardio is why it underperforms. If you go at a medium pace for 30 minutes, you're spending 30 minutes in a zone that's too fatiguing to repeat often and too easy to drive the aerobic adaptations that zone 2 produces. Compare that to 25 minutes of zone 2, 3 or 4 times per week, which directly builds your aerobic base, accelerates recovery from other training, and can be done on off days without generating meaningful fatigue. Or compare to a 20-minute interval session, 4 to 6 hard intervals with full recovery, which builds VO2 max and lactate clearance. Either of those is more efficient than 30 minutes at a medium grind. The timeline for change in the oxidative system is longer than the other two systems. You can feel glycolytic adaptation, better muscle pumps, more work capacity in your sets within a few weeks. Phosphagen strength improvements can show up in 3 to 4 weeks. The oxidative system takes longer. Expect 4 to 6 weeks before you feel a clear difference in recovery speed. That's not a reason to skip it. That's the reason most people skip it. They don't feel an immediate payoff. And then they wonder why they're always a little gassed between sets and their recovery between sessions is slower than it should be. Common mistakes with oxidative training. First, going too hard for zone 2. If you're breathing hard, you've left zone 2. Drop the pace. The adaptation comes from staying in the easy zone for duration, not from pushing harder. Second, doing intervals at the same medium intensity as your regular cardio. Intervals have to be genuinely hard, 90% or above, to drive the high intensity adaptation. Third, avoiding cardio entirely because it might interfere with strength gains. It won't if you keep zone 2 at zone 2 intensity. Moderate to high intensity cardio before a strength session, that can interfere. True zone 2 at the right pace on off days does not. Fourth, expecting results in 2 weeks and quitting. The oxidative system takes 4 to 6 weeks to show meaningful change. Commit to the window. 2 to 3 zone 2 sessions per week, 20 to 45 minutes each. Comfortable enough to hold a full conversation. That's the prescription. Keep it separate from your strength and hypertrophy sessions when possible. Watch your recovery transform over the next 6 weeks. The final video in this series ties everything together. How to build a training week that covers all 3 systems without burning out or spending 6 days a week in the gym. Subscribe so you catch it. And the Swole Journal is the 12-week training log built around exactly this framework. All 3 systems, all 3 types of sessions, tracked in one place. Links in the description. Let's get to work.